This is a tutorial on how to use Zotero. You will learn how to import citations into Zotero from PubMed, Web of Science, Popline, other web resources, and PDFs you may already have on your computer. You will also learn how to use Zotero in conjunction with Microsoft Word to create in-text citations and bibliographies. There are other citation management tools available that you may already be familiar with, including Mendeley, which is another free tool, EndNote, which is a paid tool, and RefWorks, which is a subscription tool provided to you by BU. If you go to our library webpage under Research Help and Tutorials, you can find a tutorial comparing all four of these citation management tools together to see which one is best for you. Typically, our public health students use either Zotero or Mendeley, so today I will be showing you Zotero. Zotero functions best with Firefox, so if you are planning on using it, you should first install Firefox onto your computer if you don't already have it. Unfortunately, it just doesn't work as well with Chrome or Safari, so to really get the full functionality of Zotero, you do need to use Firefox. Once you've downloaded Firefox and installed it on your computer, open up a browser window and go to zotero.org. Click on the Download Now button in the corner. You will see two options here, one Zotero for Firefox and one Zotero Standalone. I do not recommend using the Zotero Standalone because it will not give you the same functionality as Zotero for Firefox. It is also slightly less stable than Zotero for Firefox is, so even though it does have those Chrome and Safari plugins, there is a good chance that it could lose your library, and that's just not worth it, especially when Zotero for Firefox tends to work very, very well on Macs. Click on the button to download Zotero. I already have it installed on this browser, but if you were doing this for the first time, it would ask you to allow it to install, and then it would close out and restart Firefox. Once Firefox was restarted, you would see this Z here up in the corner, and this is your Zotero library. You'll also want to add this plugin here for Word. Once you click on that, just scroll down until you find Mac and go ahead and install this Word for Mac plugin. Make sure that your Microsoft Word is completely closed out, otherwise it will not install properly and you will have to try installing it again. Now that you have Zotero installed, you can use this little Z in the upper right-hand corner to both open and close your Zotero library. And this is where all of your citations will be stored. One of the advantages of Zotero is that you can access your library from anywhere that Zotero has been installed, and you can also share your citations with other people, in particular group mates if you were working on a project together in a class. To do this, you'll want to first register. So if you scroll to the top of the page here, you can click on this register, and then you could register for your free account. If you already have an account, or once you've registered, you'll click on log in to your account and you'll go ahead and log in. You'll see first that it'll take you into your library, and you can access this library on the web from anywhere that you are, even if Zotero is not installed. You can also click on groups, and this is where you would be able to make groups to share citations privately if you would prefer with group mates, etc. Lastly, you'll want to log into your Zotero library here in your Zotero menu. This is separate than logging in online, so just because you're logged in here does not necessarily mean that you're logged in here the first time that you use it. Once you log in once on here, you will be remembered on that computer, so you shouldn't have to do this again. So first find this little gear button here and go ahead and click on it and open up your Preferences menu. I've already been signed in here, but you'll use the same username and password that you just created when you registered, and you can set your sync preferences here. Once everything is input, it will be saved and you can go ahead and X back out. Now when you sign into your Zotero and other libraries, for example if you switched between a computer here and a laptop at home, you would go ahead and just press this little green button to go ahead and sync your libraries together, and then you'd be able to access all of your citations from both computers. To my knowledge, Zotero gives you approximately 300 megabytes of storage for free, which is a huge number of citations because they take up hardly any space. But once you start adding PDFs in there, you will find that your space can get limited very quickly. If you're looking for a citation management system that will store both PDFs and citations, I would recommend watching our Mendeley tutorials on the page that I showed you previously to see if that's a better fit for you. Your Zotero will look different from mine because, as I mentioned, I've been using mine for a few years now, so I already have created folders and citations imported into my library. To add a new folder, you'll just want to click on this little manila folder with a blue plus icon here, and you can go ahead and create a new folder. Once that new folder is created, if you wanted to, you could create a sub-collection by right-clicking on this here and selecting New Sub-Collection. You can also delete the collection, rename the collection, or delete the collection and items if you would like. Zotero was designed to be intuitive and operate in the same way that iTunes does, meaning that you should think of each of these individual folders as playlists. Everything you add into Zotero will automatically go into the main library list, but you can have items in your library organized into different folders or playlists. If you decided to delete a folder, you won't be deleting the citation from the library, much the same as if you delete a playlist in iTunes, you won't be deleting the song from your library. Unless, should you right-click and choose the Delete Collection and Items, in which case you will obviously be deleting both the collection and the items from your library. So now that we've talked about adding folders in Zotero, let's go ahead and talk about adding citations. We're going to start by going into PubMed through the library's homepage. Since I've already logged in once today, it's not going to ask me to log in again, but we are going to jump into advanced search here because I have a search that I've done earlier today that I'm going to take some of these items from and add into our PubMed search. So we'll go ahead here and I'm just going to select this one. It is similar to some of the searches you've seen in these other tutorials. And you'll see that we have a total of 70 results here, and it's displaying the first 20 on this page. So if we go up into the corner here and look at it next to our little Z for Zotero, you will see that there's a manila envelope here. And what you'll want to do is click on that, and Zotero recognizes that there are 20 items on this page that you could add to your library. So you could go through and you could select several that you wanted to import, and if you clicked OK, it would drag those things directly into your library. But you might also not know based on just the titles that that's exactly what you wanted to use. So if you click Cancel here, you can open up an individual article, and then you'll see typically Zotero will change from this little manila envelope to a small sheet of paper. That's Zotero recognizing that you're looking at a single article rather than a listing of articles. However, the process to get this article into your Zotero library is going to be exactly the same regardless of whether it's a little sheet of paper or a manila folder. So if I go ahead and click on this here, you'll see that it's only bringing me back one option. Typically, again, you will see a sheet of paper and it will automatically drag it into your Zotero library rather than asking you to select which items you'd like to add to your library. But for some reason today, Zotero is doing this instead. Go ahead and click OK, and you will see that this article is now added into our library. And if you look over on the right here, you can see that it has pulled all the metadata information in, including that it's a journal article, the title, the authors. It's also pulled in the abstract, publication, all of the information that you could need. And if there was information that it didn't pull in that you did want to add in, all you would have to do is click on this to go ahead and edit this, this field. Adding citations from other databases will be very similar. I'm going to go ahead and quickly search in Web of Science now. Just go back to first the main library homepage here, and then jump into Web of Science. And I'm hoping that it saved my search again from earlier today here, so I'm just going to go into Advanced Search and scroll down to the bottom of the page. Unfortunately, it did not save my search, so I'm just going to do a quick search here for TS equals diabetes, and TS equals type, and TS equals 2. So if we do a search for this, and it's not the most thorough search in the world, it's just going to bring back articles on theoretically type 2 diabetes where the 2 is spelled out TWO. It brings us back 25,000 results. So I'm just going to open this up very quickly so I can show you how you would add these things in, but typically you'll want your searches to be significantly smaller than 25,000 results. So once you're in here, you will again see this lovely little manila folder that tells you that Zotero knows you're looking at a list of citations rather than a single citation. So if we were to click on this, it would look exactly the same, and it would give us the options to add the first articles that are available on this page into your Zotero library. But again, if we wanted to just open something up here, you will see, and here this time it has changed to a sheet of paper, so you know that it is recognizing that this is a journal article. You could go ahead and click that sheet of paper, and now here it's added into our Zotero library. And if we wanted to, we can scroll up and again see it's listed the item type as a journal article, so we know it's pulling back all the correct information it needs to for a journal article. One of the other databases that we've talked about in these tutorials is Popline. And with Popline, you will have to do something slightly different to get your citations from Popline into your Zotero library. So I'm going to show you how to do that now. So we'll start just by getting into Popline. I'm going to go into databases here from the library homepage, click on P for Popline, and then just click on Popline here. And I'm going to jump right into the advanced search. And it did not save my search, but that's fine. We're going to go ahead and do the same rough search that we have been, diabetes in India. And I'll go ahead and click search here. And you'll see that it brings me back 30 results. So what I'll want to do is select the articles that I want to add into my documents. And I'll go ahead and click on add to my documents here. Now, at this point, it's going to ask you to either create a new account or log in. I'll go ahead and put in my username and password. And if you didn't have a Popline account yet, obviously you'd want to click create new account first. And I'll go ahead and click login. And now it's bringing me into my Popline account here, which is great, but I really want to just go back into my search. So I'm going to go back to advanced search, and you'll see that it has saved my search from previously, and I'm going to go ahead and just click search again here to get back to the article. So what we had been looking at before, I believe, was this one. So I'm going to go ahead and just add this into my documents, and I'll go ahead and add this one in also. And so now you can see they've both been added into my documents. And I'm going to scroll back up to the top here. I'm going to click on my documents. And in this, you can see that I currently have 7 documents in my folder. I could, if I wanted to, remove items, or I can go ahead and export them out into my Zotero library. So what I'll want to do is right here under Export Alyssa's Documents, I'll click on this RIS, and it automatically knows that we're in Zotero, or we're in Firefox. We have Zotero open. More likely than not, we want to add Zotero, these citations into our Zotero. So we'll go ahead and click OK. And since this folder is highlighted, it's going to add all 7 of those documents directly into this folder. And you can see that they've gone ahead and updated them with all of the citation information. Most of them are journal articles, but this one it recognizes as being a report. And you should be able to see all of your citation information in here now. So now we've gone over adding citations in from PubMed, Web of Science, and Popline. You might also find that you want to add books into your Zotero library. So one of the places that you'll go to do this would be the library catalog. So if we just went to bu.edu/library, which is where the BU catalog is, we could go ahead and search like Mountains Beyond Mountains. And once we've gone ahead and searched that, you can see here it is in our Zotero, or sorry, in our search here. We'll go ahead and click on this, and I want to get all the way through to the main page for this item. And you'll see that once we're here in this page where we could find the different places that we could pick up the book, Zotero has changed from our little manila folder, as it had been in the past, to now a small book. And we could go ahead by clicking this, and it would add it into our Zotero library here. So if we were looking at it this way, we know we have a book, we have the title, we have the author, we have all of the relevant information for citing a book. Periodically, you might find that your book is not available in the BU Library catalog. That's fine, because Amazon has a great book catalog, and so you'll be able to probably find the book that you're looking for there, and you can add it into your Zotero account from there. So we'll go in and demonstrate that real quick. So if I go to Amazon.com, we could look for Harry Potter, which I know Dave usually uses because it's the first book that comes to mind, but for me I use it because it's absolutely an example of something you'll want to cite in one of your scholarly public health papers. Just in case it's not completely clear, I'm entirely kidding. Please don't cite Harry Potter in your public health papers. So what you'd want to do is go ahead and search Harry Potter here in the catalog, and if you click on that book, again, you will see that Zotero will change to a small book icon right here, and if you go ahead and click the book there, it will go ahead and save it into our public health folder. And you can see again, it keeps all of the same information that you might need for citing the book. So the next thing you might want to cite to add to your citations here would be a web page. So if we wanted to, for example, add in the WHO, we would go to WHO on the website here. And once you got there, you would see that Zotero now has this little blue sheet of paper here. This is Zotero saying that you are on a web page. It's recognizing that it's a web page, and it's going to pull in the appropriate information for the web page as an item type. You should always double check with the web page and make sure that once you add it in by clicking the little sheet of paper there, that it's got the information that you think you need. Things that will always drag in are going to be the title, it'll always drag in the URL, it'll drag in your access date. Those are the most important things that you'll want to add in here, but if there's any additional information that you can see that you would like to add in, you can go ahead and do that by clicking on any of these little fields in particular. You'll also notice that with this little web page icon here, there's a little arrow. What this is it's showing you that it's also saved a snapshot of the web page. So it's pulled in this snapshot of the web page. If we double click on it, you can open it up. This is exactly the way that the web page looked at the time that we imported it into our Zotero library. And you can see that it was accessed here on August 30th at 3:06 p.m. So this is great because if something happens and the website does change from the time in which you cite it versus when you turn in a paper to a professor or when you publish a paper, you do have this little snapshot that you can go back to and say, well, here is exactly what it looked like when I pulled it in and cited it for my in my Zotero library. So you might find that you also want to import newspaper articles into your Zotero library. So if we were to search for the New York Times, we could go in there, and once you open up this page, you'll see first that it gives you the little blue icon here denoting web page. This is just because there's so much stuff going on this page that it's relatively confused as to what's happening, if it's what type of article it should be looking for, what type of item it should be looking for. But if we go ahead and just click on any article and give it a moment here, it will change and it will become a little tiny newspaper icon, and there it is. So you can see now it's pulled, knows that this is a newspaper article, and it's going to again pull in the relevant information for that article type. So if we go ahead and click on that here, it's going to import it into our article. We can see item type newspaper article, and it's currently saving. You could, if you wanted to, also add in citations by hand to Zotero. Most likely you'll never have to do this, but if you did want to do it, you would go ahead and click on this little green plus icon here. It'll give you a few options up here of like the most commonly used item types, but if you clicked on more here, you'd go ahead and see that there's a lot of different items that you can go ahead and input information for. And this is good just because if you did need to cite something like, say, a patent, it'll give you the fields that would be most relevant for creating citations later on. Okay, so the very last thing I want to show you about importing things into Zotero is how to add any PDFs you might already have on your computer. So if we go ahead, and I'm just going to resize this here so that I can see the PDF that I've got there. If I take this PDF and I go ahead and just drag it into my Zotero, it's going to go ahead and import it. And you see that it has this PDF1 name here, which is the name that I've given it on my desktop. It hasn't pulled in any of the metadata yet, but you can still get it to do that. So if you go ahead and right-click, which is Control and click on a Mac in case you haven't done that before, you'll see that this second option from the bottom is Retrieve Metadata for PDF. So if you go ahead and click on that, it's going to ask you to first install this PDFs tool into your Zotero preferences. So go ahead and let it open Preferences, go ahead and install the tool, and then once it's all set, go ahead and X out of here, and then again right-click and click on Retrieve Metadata for PDF. And it's going to go ahead and add in all of that metadata there just like that. Now this is a great thing to keep in mind because you can add in all of the PDFs, unfortunately one at a time, into your Zotero library so that those citations are automatically imported. But do keep in mind that you do have a limited amount of space on your Zotero library, and PDFs can take up a lot of space very quickly. So if you wanted to, you could actually delete the PDF out of this and still keep the citation in there. But again, all of that entirely depends on the amount of space that you have in your Zotero library and how you want to organize it. So now that we've gone over how to add in citations to your Zotero library, we're going to talk about the most exciting part of any citation management tool, which is actually getting to use it to do your in-text citations and your bibliography. This is why we put all the effort into getting it into the library in the first place. So I'm going to go ahead and open up Microsoft Word here. And at the beginning of the tutorial, I showed you how to install the Microsoft Word plugin. This plugin is what you'll need to use in order to have Zotero do your in-text citations and bibliography. Once it's installed, it should pop up right here, so this is the toolbar for Zotero, but there are a few other places that it could go just in case it doesn't pop up. So you'll want to check under View. If you go down, scroll down to where toolbars are, you can see that I have my Zotero toolbar right here, and it has a little check mark on it, so it says it's turned on. If it's turned off, just go ahead and click it, and it should pop right up. The other place that it could be, and it's a good idea to keep this in mind, is that it's in under this little squiggly S scroll sort of thing here under Zotero. And this is a good place to keep in mind because it does have actual text written for all of the different things that you could do with this toolbar. This toolbar will tell you what each button means if you hover over it, but you could also just hop in here and click Zotero and add citation as you wanted to. To use Microsoft Word with Zotero, you do have to have Firefox open. If you don't have Firefox open, when you open it up and try to cite anything in Zotero, it will prompt you to open your Firefox. Something important to keep in mind is that you do not have to be connected to any internet connection for Microsoft to work with Zotero on Macs. I cannot speak to how it works on PCs, but I have tested it out several times, and on Macs, as long as you can open Firefox, you don't have to have any internet connection to be able to cite and create bibliographies. To add in-text citations, you'll want to first type out some things that you'd like to cite, and then you'll want to click on this very first button here in the Zotero toolbar. And as I mentioned before, if you do hover over it long enough, it'll tell you what it is. And so we'll go ahead and click on that. And it's going to ask us first to choose a citation style. So I'm going to go ahead and stick with APA for right now, and I'll click OK. And then it gives me this long red bar. What you could do is if you happen to know a keyword from your article title or something like that, you could type it in here and it'll give you a drop-down list of suggestions. But I prefer to use the classic view because it lets me look directly in the folders for things. So if I wanted to cite this article, for example, I would go ahead and click it. I would click OK. And there is my article cited in APA style. So now I'll go ahead and continue, and I now would like to cite this very scholarly sentence here. And I'll go ahead and click the same thing. It's not going to stay in classic view, unfortunately. I wish it did, but it doesn't. So I'll just drop down to classic view again, and let's say that this sentence requires multiple sources to be cited. So I will click on this multiple sources tab here, and I will say that I would like this one sent over, and this one also, and this one as well. And you can go ahead and you can use these blue arrows and whatnot to go ahead and resort your sources or your sources depending on where you would like them to fall. And then click OK, and it'll go ahead and cite all of those sources for you. So now that I've written this fantastic paper, I need a bibliography to finish it off. So I'm going to go ahead and move my cursor to where I would like the bibliography to appear, and then I'm going to click this third button up here to insert the bibliography. And sometimes it takes a couple minutes to go through, but once it does, your bibliography is completely done. If we were in person, this is typically where I'd hear a collective groan as all of you realize how much time you could have saved if you started using this tool earlier, but we're not, so it's silence instead. But now that I've finished this paper in APA, and due to its incredibly unique content, I've been encouraged to submit it for publication. But I need to change the citation style first. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on this small gear right up here where it says Zotero Set Doc Preferences. And I can choose whichever style I would like and go ahead and click OK. And it's going to transfer everything that I've written that needs to be cited in that paper over into that new style, which is fantastic, and it will save you so much time in the future. So I've just changed my citation style from APA, obviously, into Chicago. But if I were encouraged to publish this in, say, JAMA, which would use JAMA style, JAMA is not one of the standard styles that's listed in your list of preferences, of preferred citation styles up here in your documents. So if you wanted to add that in, you absolutely can. Zotero has thousands of citation styles available for you to choose from. You just sometimes have to go ahead and add them in. So to do that, you just want to go up here, and you'd want to search for Zotero Style Repository. And it's going to be the first result that comes up here. You'll go ahead and click on that, and then we would go ahead and do a title search for JAMA. or whatever style it is that you're looking for. And it tells me that there are 2 styles found, JAMA and JAMA Dermatology. So we'll go ahead and just click on JAMA. Go ahead and click OK, and then click Install here. And once that's done, you can pop right back into your Zotero here, and we could click on this little gear again and scroll down, and there's JAMA. And we click OK, and if we just give it a moment, now everything is cited in JAMA style. If you have any questions or would like additional help, please feel free to contact the library. You can find the contact information for librarians on the main library page underneath About Us. You can also contact the reference desk at the email address or phone number located here. We do have librarians available for walk-ins Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5 o'clock p.m. We also have librarians available by appointment on Saturdays and Sundays. Thank you for watching this video tutorial on Zotero.